Not working? Okay, there we go. Test, test. All right, guys. Once again, welcome to another episode of the Sales Manager Academy podcast. As always, I'm your host, Omar, and we talk everything having to do with leadership in retail settings, specifically in boutique retail. So think wireless retail, think AV sales, think appliance sales, think anything outside of your traditional big box retail. Okay. Uh, we have typically smaller teams we work with. We're more nimble in the way things are done, right? We're typically working with smaller companies, mom and pop shops, companies that typically have under 100 footprints. There's a few out there that have, a lot more. I've been part of a company that was, for instance, 200 doors or just shy of 200 doors when I first joined them. And when I left, they were shy of about 700 locations, 750. Uh, so not to say that there's not growth that you can see, there definitely is growth. You have to understand what you're working with and what is going on to really get a better picture, a better idea of how things are going. And one of the things I want to talk about today is this notion of constantly needing to be busy. Um, and as a leader, you need to understand that being busy is not being productive. Those are two different things. You can fill up your day, fill up your people's day with busy work. Busy work doesn't mean that they're going to be productive, that they're actually going to be moving the needle forward and attaining what we need done, or that we as leaders are doing our part to make sure that we're being productive for our teams to move them forward. Because we're too busy doing paperwork, admin stuff that honestly could wait, doesn't have to, be answered, doesn't need to be at the top of our list. I'd rather have pushback with my executive leadership as to why I'm not doing busy work when it means I'm being productive in the field. And productive doesn't mean you on the fucking sales floor. Let's get that straight. Because oftentimes I hear that from some leaders where I've been busy, I can't get to my emails, I can't get to stuff because I just showed up to the store that needs assistance and I was on the sales floor selling, 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 and they're doing great today. It might give you a little bit of a euphoric feeling to know that that store is not the bottom of the barrel for the day that you were there. But what have you done as a leader to actually make that team productive, to make your time as a leader productive during that visit? Because if I'm there and I sold the entire time, instead of taking a look and seeing, all right, my team is lacking in this area, and this is where I need to focus on as a leader to help train and develop them, to focus on my local leader at that store, my store manager, my assistant manager, my leads, to make sure that they're actually doing what they need to do to make the entire team actually win, to get them on par to, hit their goals. If I'm not doing that, I was busy, yes, but I wasn't productive. I actually took productivity away from them because I might be thinking, well, I'm leading by example. But going back to our coaching conversations, you didn't show them anything. You didn't let them take ownership of anything. You didn't let them build those neural connections, those synapses to actually let them learn from the experience. You just threw stuff at them and you're going to be wondering why are they still not getting it? Why are they still not being productive? Why are they still not hitting goals? It must be them. No, it's not. It's the leadership style or lack of leadership style that we've developed for ourselves. And that's what we want to work on. So we don't want to confuse being busy with being productive for us as leaders and for our teams. Okay. Uh, because oftentimes too, if we tell them like the more ups you get, right, the more opportunities that you get in front of, the more chances you get. Now that might be true, but if we're not helping them by observing the interaction and seeing where exactly they could improve and helping them debrief on that interaction, right? And self-discover like, okay, this is what this is actually what I could have done better. This is what I need to work on. This is what I have to figure out, right? This is the stuff that I'm gonna need a little bit of assistance with. If we don't let them do that for themselves, we're taking away a very big opportunity for them to learn and to develop themselves in the long term. Because As leaders, that is our number one priority, is developing our teams, getting them better 1% at a time, right? That goes a much longer distance than me stepping in and leading by example to sell, to mask the fact that the leadership style and development that I need for the team isn't there, that I'm not getting the support um, from my organization or the development from my organization. I get it. Okay. I've been there before. The company I was with that was at 200 plus stores to, just shy of 750 when I left, they had no fucking training and development. I remember hearing from my VPs at the time, and, it's something I've taken to heart and it's something I've known for a while, right? But hey, who cares if you get fired tomorrow? Anybody can get fired, anybody can be replaced. Take that to heart. When executives of a company tell you anybody can be replaced, including themselves, it means they really don't care about what's going on, right? When, their motto is change the people or change the people, right? Meaning either train, develop those people to get better or replace the people. But they don't have an actual idea of how to do that. They don't have something in place, a structure to help you go through that. Yeah, I've been there. I get it. I understand where you're coming from, where you might feel that I'm just not getting the support. I took that around and I said, you know what? I'm going to do this for my team because it's something I wish I had. And went from there and everything through, right? So from getting a position completely developed just for me in the entire company to, being pushed into a DM role, right? Because I was really good at figuring people out, developing people, recruiting and training people, right? That was a big thing and brought that to the field, developed something for that, got, pretty much pushed out nationwide, developed a new hire training program that was used nationwide. I get where the feeling of it's me on an island can come from. But what I'm here to tell you is it doesn't always have to feel that way if you develop your team, because at that point, you can make sure that you're actually pushing forward and you're getting a support. You're building a support for your team that can grow into something much bigger than what you could have imagined, right? And the big start to that is understanding that being busy is not being productive. Being busy on the sales floor is not being productive when it comes to training, developing, and coaching your teams, which is what they need most of. Okay. You have to coach for outcomes, not for activities. You don't want your salespeople be like, okay, I'm just going to try to talk to as many people as I can, and that's where I'm going to get my numbers. Okay, that's a start. But the real development comes in reflecting on those interactions to make sure that we're not wasting as many opportunities as possible, right? We're not just running through them and then not giving that customer or client a good experience because we're not truly developed where we need to be at to help them find whatever they're looking for, whatever assistance they're looking for. Not to say that they're going to sell every single opportunity, but at least making the client and the customer feel like they also didn't waste their time walking into your location. That's what we don't want anybody to feel like. And that's something I always train my people on, where you want them to come back because the biggest thing that we're selling out of the location is the reputation. We want those people to come back and tell them, you know what, those people at that location, they know what they're doing. They're even though they didn't solve my issue or they didn't have a solution, they didn't just push me out the door because I wasn't buying from them. And that helps create a better reputation for your team to have more opportunities coming through the door. Because now more people understand that, okay, they're going to listen a little bit more. They're going to do something that other locations, other companies haven't been doing with me. And that can go a long way. But that also forces your people to slow down and start asking better questions, right? And when you're observing those interactions, you can give real-time feedback, right? Or slightly delayed feedback, because sometimes we're going to be slammed and we won't be able to give that feedback until after, the group of customers that we're dealing with or clients are out the door. But we can give them that feedback same day and we can let them know like, okay, this is what we saw. This is what I saw. What is your take on the interaction before anything, yada, yada, right? And you go through the coaching format. And if you don't have a coaching format, or if you're struggling to have or figure out a really good training format for coaching, go to the link in the bio, go to the link in the video description, grab that 15-minute framework and use it. It is a very simple framework. They'll walk you through not just goal setting, but also visualization. And that's the biggest thing that most coaching, if not all coaching sessions and coaching material that I've ran across and been part of, really misses the mark on, is there is no visualization. There's another part that has to do with follow-up, right? Because you have to be consistent on things. But the first part of the process after setting goal setting, because everybody talks about goal setting, but nobody talks about what really matters, which is the action steps and the visualization and the follow up. Those are the key items missing from any and all coaching material that you're ever going to go through. That is once again why I'm not a fan of doing an 8 hour training, because there is no fucking follow up afterwards. They leave it to you as the coach, but you yourself have no experience actually implementing it and making it a habit for yourself. So you'll let it go by the wayside. And that's not a fault on you. Okay. It is a fault in the system that was brought up, because also part of what they're doing, excuse me, what they're doing is they just want you to buy more or to bring them back on board on a retainer. So that's what you want to focus on. You want to make sure that you're doing coaching sessions, you're giving them time to visualize and actually self-discover, and then you're following up. You're being consistent with what you're doing as a leader, what you're saying you're going to do as a leader. Because that consistency also goes a long way in your team's confidence. You don't have to do a coaching session every single day. That's not needed, because you need time to be able to try it, develop it, and have a couple misses, couple wins, and then we can reflect and we can coach and go forward. That's the important part. Okay. Now, the other part is understanding what kind of progress you're going to be focusing on when you're talking about productivity and activities, right? Because once again, being busy doesn't mean that you're being productive. Okay, so you've had, 10 customer interactions. Cool. What came of those interactions? Where's the productivity? You did a bunch of activity, but where's the productivity? We want to focus on the productivity side, not just on the interaction, not just on the activity. The activity is useless and meaningless if there's no productivity that comes with it. So we have to understand what we're talking about when it comes to productivity. And when you're going through coaching sessions, that productivity is going to look a little bit different for everybody, depending if they're obviously a new hire within their first 90 days, if they're, a new employee within a year, whether they're a veteran employee that's been with the company for 3 to 5 years. That productivity portion is going to be slightly different depending on everybody, because of where we're developing, because of what we want them to focus on. And that's the important thing that you as a leader need to understand, that you can't put everybody on the same benchmark right away. Some are going to have handicaps, and you have to understand what those are. You have to have those milestones mapped out to have a really good understanding of, all right, where can I really help this person? Where can this person really improve on? And where can I or the leadership team, right? Because sometimes I might move employees from location to location to learn a little bit more from each employee. I'd rather keep them at one location so that they're more consistent with the coaching style and they have a better idea of what's going on. Okay. But that's what you want to do, so that you understand what is productivity for those people. For you as a leader, productivity does not mean you on the fucking sales floor. The challenge for you as a leader is going to be your coaching sessions. I challenge you to make that part of your routine. And I'm not saying you need to do 10 coaching sessions in a day, right? If you've struggled with doing proper coaching sessions, start with just one in a day. Get a feel for it. Because the moment that your team starts winning, those individuals that you have start really winning because of your coaching sessions, trust me, you will want to do more. You will do more. And you will see that your coaching sessions have a direct correlation with the amount of time and headache that you save, that you don't have to deal with when it comes to corrective actions, when it comes to churn, when it comes to underperformers. The more you help train and develop your team, the less of that bullshit you have to go through. It is that simple. Now, when you do the coaching sessions as well, it helps you to create focus. You're not just giving random feedback on, all right, you know what, I'm doing a store visit at this location. Let me meet with, employee, let me meet with John, let me meet with Jane. No, you're going in with your store visits. You have your agenda already mapped out. You know what you're focusing on. You know who you're going to be reaching out to, who you're going to be meeting with and speaking with when it comes to coaching sessions. And they know, like, oh, yeah, Omar's going to be here today for a visit. And I have my coaching session with him later today. This is the stuff that I was going to, that we went over in my last coaching session. Let me really fast before he gets here, focus on the stuff that I need to do. Let me make sure, right, we're on track. And I know what I'm looking at. I have their last coaching session. I have the KPIs, their goals, right, that they said that they wanted to hit, where we're at currently. Are we on track? Are we off? Even though I know when it comes to the coaching session, I'm not the one telling them this is what you said. I'm letting them walk me through their process. I'm letting them take ownership of the coaching interaction and letting them walk me through what they said they were going to hit, what actions they said they were going to take. Are we on track? Are we not? Because I'm also helping them develop that, not just for themselves, but so that they could also help other people. The thing about mastery on something is not you yourself doing it, but also the ability of helping and training somebody else. When you can do that, those individuals now have mastery or a greater mastery than you could think of. And you're also, once again, we've talked about this, you're developing your pipeline of leaders through doing this because you're helping to coach and develop other coaches, right? Because the ones that really like it, really take, a liking to the coaching sessions are going to go through and ask other people, talk with them. People are going to come to them, right? Ask them like, hey, um, I'm struggling with this, how, and it just becomes a much better environment for everybody. People are working together instead of opposed to each other. This is why I don't want a team of sharks. I want a team that works together to succeed. Even though everybody's got their own individual goals to work with, they're also helping other people achieve their goals. They're also giving feedback. So now it starts to move a lot faster than everybody just waiting on you on your next visit in a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks. Okay. That's the important thing that you need to focus on. That is why coaching and developing is so important because it helps to foster that change faster. Now, the other aspect too is going to be the reflection, right? Because you yourself will also be able to reflect on the difference of productivity for the entire market that you have between when you were physically involved on the sales floor, going and doing your store visits and being like, they need to bump in sales. I'm going to jump on the sales floor. I'm going to teach by example and I'm going to sell for them. I get it. I've talked about this before. I've done those visits, and when I had time, yes, I would, go on the sales floor. And if if they were backlogged, and there was people waiting in line, I would jump in and I would just ask real fast and I would take care of the simple ones that wasn't sales interactions. And when they were freed up, they can take over the sales ones. If it was a one where, okay, we need, somebody to actually jump in, I would start it. I would not finish that sales interaction. At first, that was my mistake when I first jumped into a DM role because I wanted to show everybody that I could sell. And they understood, yeah, Omar can sell. But then I learned real fast because once again, the conversation I had with my regional at the time, where he knew when I was on the sales floor because he knew he couldn't get a hold of me and he knew the numbers were up. So he knew when he looked at a location, the numbers are up dramatically and I can't get a hold of Omar. He's on the fucking sales floor. That was both a compliment and a slap in the face because yes, you could sell, but you're also taking sales away from your team. Not just sales, right? Because I didn't obviously put them under my code or my information, but I'm taking the experience away from them of allowing them to really develop their sales game, their sales skills. That was the hard part. And that's where we want to make sure that people are taking time to do that. And as a leader, you need to do that for your people, where you're spending more time in training and developing them to become better at what they're doing than focusing on what your priorities are. Because I need to hit quota. You as a DM don't have to worry about your quota. If you're worried about your sales quota, it means you're not training and developing your people. It means you're not spending time coaching your people. And that's where you need to spend and focus time on. Because when you do more of that, the sales will come. Your people will be productive. And I've said it before. Right now is not a time where you want to lose individuals from your work team, from your sales team, because everybody is literally on a wait and see. Yes, there are companies hiring, but a lot of them are waiting and see what's going to happen, right? Today is Monday, May 12th. This will be posted up in a week or two. So if you're catching me live, hey, you're getting some feedback, some information, some good stuff before everybody else does. But keep this in mind. Just over the weekend, right? There's another pause on tariffs for 90 days. Tariffs are not gone, but there's a pause. But here's the shit that happens when you got a baby in power that is prone to tantrums. Flip the switch. It could be in a week or two. You know what? No, it wasn't a 90-day pause. You guys misheard. It's this. Tariffs are back on. We don't know entirely what's going on. And for business people, that hurts because realizing exactly what's going on in the markets and having a good idea of forecasting is important. Our customers and clients, that affects their pockets directly. And that means less funds to spend elsewhere. It means less opportunities we have that we're working with. So we need to focus on training and developing and helping our team bridge that during slow periods of time. That is why coaching is so important. Oh, but I don't feel comfortable doing role plays. It's just so awkward. Guys, visualization is role playing. And it's more effective as a role playing tool than actual physical role playing because your brain cannot tell the difference between you visualizing something and you actually doing something. Okay. Mind you, I'm saying your brain, not your body. There's a physical difference there. But that is the power of visualization. And they can do better because they're visualizing on the customer interactions, the client interactions as they see most of. I don't care about that once in a lifetime, that once in a blue moon fucking customer that comes in that's no to everything that we magically turn around into a sub. I don't fucking care about those because they don't come in that often to make a fucking difference. I want the most common interactions that my team deals with, and that's what I want those to be focused on. When I'm doing my coaching sessions, if their action items are based on the once in a lifetime blue moon customer, let's correct this. What is the actual interactions you typically deal with? I want you to focus on those because those are the ones that you have most opportunities with. And imagine if you just have one or two more opportunities come from your existing interactions that you have from these. That is literally something that can double or triple their productivity. And it doesn't mean that they need to exert themselves, overexert themselves. Because remember, we're also asking them to do something they haven't done before. We're believing in them, which is something they've never had before. And when they're doing something, just like when you go to the gym for the first time and you do exercises that you haven't done before, you will overexert your body. And I don't want you to get injured because if you injure yourself, it takes more time for you to recover. I want this to be bite-sized interactions. And that's why we do small chunkings of coaching sessions so that they can retain it and they can build those strong muscles over time, that muscle memory, so that they can do more of it without being as fatigued. Because remember, it does fatigue you when you do something different. It fatigues your mind, fatigues your will. That is a thing. So I want to make sure that you're practicing these through, slow periods, doing coaching sessions, visualization practices, not just for your team, but also for yourself. Because as a new leader coming in or as a leader that's trying to change their leadership style, that change is different, it's new, and it will fatigue how you go through the day, right? It's going to affect you in a way because it's going to take a lot of out of you at first. And then as you get comfortable with it, hey, I can pump these out left and right. I don't need the guide as often, right? I can go through it. They write it down. Boom, boom. We're solid. I've internalized the process and now I've developed it for myself. in my style, my framework, and my leaders are learning it. And it's like there's 5 of me, 10 of me in the field. So I'm not working as hard as a district manager. My productivity is up 30, 40% year over year. You're starting to do more with less effort. And that means more opportunities for you as a leader. So that's what we want to focus on. Don't worry about being busy selling on the sales floor. That doesn't mean anything for you as a leader. You want to get your team promoted by having them focus on productivity and being intentional, not just for myself on what I'm focusing on, but also for them to be intentional on what they're doing, right? But it starts with the goal in mind, with action steps to go through, visualizing the process, and then following through. And then we rinse and repeat. And that's how we become stronger leaders for our team. And that's how we develop stronger salespeople on our team. And that's how we develop new future sales leaders that don't need as much of a ramp up, that aren't going to be worried and flustered with not feeling like they have a great support system because you've helped them create a system that they developed on their own as well. Because everybody's going to take a little bit of it and make it their own. It's not a rigid process. Okay. It's a fluid framework. And they can teach it to others and it will still be as effective because it's based on human psychology. It's based on habit building. And that's where we want to get to. So, guys, I want to say thank you once again for taking time, spending, some time out of your day with us here at the Sales Manager Academy podcast. Before I go, just want to say if you haven't already, make sure to hit that follow, subscribe button, and I'll catch you on the next one.